couple of years ago, I got to drive the Civic Type R. Love that car. Only thing I have against it is front wheel drive. Definitely like my rear wheel drive cars, but be that as it may, great car. Enjoyed all the aspects of it. And one of the things I did like, in addition to the performance, was the red seat belts. And decided I needed a set for my FRS. I found these on eBay. These are out of a 2019 TRD edition 86. It came with red seat belts. This was a crash vehicle. One of the things to watch for if you're buying parts off a crash vehicle, particularly with seat belts, is to make sure that the pre-tensioner hasn't deployed. The pre-tensioner's job is basically to wind up that seat belt, pull you up against the seat, so that when you're not moving forward when the airbags hit. So one way you can tell is essentially if you pull on it and you're getting some movement of this drum, then you know that if this thing is not deployed. They'll be locked tight. It will not move. So make sure they're not deployed. If they are deployed, it doesn't mean that you can't use them. What it means, and I've done this in the past, it means that you have to basically unspool the red seat belts from the existing deployed spool and wind them onto your existing spool. And it's kind of tricky to do. You basically pull the seat belt all the way out of the spool, winding it up. You lock it in place with some flathead screwdrivers and pliers. I don't remember the exact procedure. You pull the spool out. There's a little like plastic kind of nub on the end. Slide that out of the spool, slide the new one in, then release it, and it'll feed it all back in there. In this case, much easier because I've literally got the whole thing ready to bolt in. So alternatively, there are companies where you can send these locks, you can send them in, and they'll re-spool them for you they'll undeploy them, and they'll put whatever color seat belts you want on there for a service. Last I checked, I think I remember it being around $75 per seat belt. I paid $200 for these plus shipping, so 220 bucks. I think last time when I had the red ones I put on my BRZ that were deployed, I ended up paying like 180 bucks for those and still had to do all the work to wind them into the existing spool. So definitely am glad to have these ones and I can just bolt them right in. So the next thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna show you how to actually install them. So one of the first things we have to do is remove these two bolts. The reason is so we can get this cover off, because we had to get to the bolt that anchors this stay up here. It's a 10 millimeter, just like everything else on these cars. Okay. Now, we don't have to completely remove this thing. All you have to do is just kind of get it out of the way enough. It's clipped in up here. Just need to be able to get at that bolt. And now, remove this bottom one. Once we've got the bottom one out, we're going to feed that back through the hole. Careful not to scratch anything. Okay. Then we want to make sure your battery is disconnected, which this vehicle already is. And we're going to remove this. Basically, it's like an airbag type system that causes an explosion of gases to wind this spool. So you're going to want to disconnect that by prying up on this yellow part. And then once you've pulled that out of the connector, it'll release this whole thing to be pulled off of the unit. Okay, so we just got to get this bolt and that bolt. All right, and then the last one, 10 millimeter. These other ones are 14. Okay, and just like that, seat belt is removed. And then installation is reverse of removal. So I had to stop the video because I was bleeding all over. It was a tiny cut, but it was making a mess. So anyway, got my field Band-Aid on, and I'm ready to resume. The torque on these 14mm head bolts is 22 foot-pounds. The torque on this little 10mm is 66 inch-pounds. Ten, 20, 22. The last thing is to put this back together. Make sure I get this through, get it lined up, and back in there. Don't know the exact torque for these screws. They're not safety critical, so they are only M6s, so no need to crank them down. And that should do it. All right, so here's what it looks like before. It's a regular black seat belts. And then what I'll do is the next video, I'll show you what it looks like after we've changed to the red seat belts. I don't know about you guys, but I think those red seat belts look fantastic. What an improvement. So cool. I'm so glad to have them. And I really think it makes the interior complete. So what I'll do is another video where I will actually show some of the other changes I've made to the interior using OEM parts, and I'll do a summary on that. Thanks for watching.